2018년도 제8회 수상자로는 바로 앞에 앉아 계신 분입니다. 미국의 리처드 포드 작가가 선정됐습니다.
Christina and I are so far beyond honored to be here today, to be part of this ongoing celebration of your great genius, novelist Pak Kyongni.
Thank you for coming very much. This is my wife, Christina Ford, who was already introduced to you. We're thrilled to be in Korea. My role here, talking to you, is to make a specimen of myself, because writers are just the most ordinary, regular people in the world. But it is because of artistic acts that sometimes even regular people can do extraordinary things.
I'm Richard Ford. I'm 74 years old. I live in the state of Maine in the United States. And I am a novelist and a short story writer and an essayist, and I'm a professor at Columbia University in New York City. And I've written, I think, 13 books, and I've been being a writer and only a writer for 50 years. Writing is easy, and if you think that writing is very hard, you're doing something wrong, which isn't to say it's not important, which isn't to say it's not challenging, but you choose it. For me, to be a writer is, and this may be hard to translate, but to be a writer is a vocation, not a profession. So I try to make it just be life. And would most like our work to accomplish is to prove itself useful to its readership, to be able to have our work renew sensuous and emotional life, be able to refresh the language we all depend on, be able to imagine new intelligence and awareness, and to affirm life by making lived life be our subject, precisely as Pak Kyongni's great national chronicle, which we call Land in America, precisely as her work proved useful to a century of Korean readers and to the world. In this way, for me, the great gift of this prize is the gift of Pak Kyongni herself in her great and memorable novel, which Christina and I were privileged to read over the summer, rather lovingly and patiently, which this great generous novel rewards and requires, especially for us American readers. When I talk to young writers, I always tell them never to be envious or rivalrous of others' great work, but to put great work to use by feeling encouraged that such writing exists at all and that we have it to read. Great writing elevates us by its excellence. It never leaves us feeling resentful. Excellence is not a relative value, it is an absolute. American poet Randall Jarrell wrote once about excellent writing. He wrote, "When a poem or a story or a novel is good, this is what good is." By that he meant that excellent work reinvents good, resaturates the world with it. That's its use. I felt this was true of this great epic Toji. I hope I do not terribly mispronounce the title, and forgive me if I do. I'm tempted to tell you what I, as a novelist, so admired about it, but you probably already know that. Maybe that's partly why I'm here today. I said I was a writer because I've been a reader since adolescence, but I also said I was an unlikely reader and an unlikely writer. It's because I'm dyslexic. I never read a book until I was 18 or 19. I did poorly in school, never finished anything I started, got mostly bad grades, and was not headed any place very interesting. Only I loved words. Here's another mystery, equally unplausible. But as an undiagnosed dyslexic, I found the cognitive, the denotative aspects of words, particularly words within sentences, difficult to get into my brain. This is typical of dyslexia. And experiencing these differences in learning ability made me a very slow reader and made me dejected, and it seemed to deem me unpromising and rather an unremarkable child. My teachers, thank God, didn't think I was as hopeless as I felt. They noticed this discrepancy between my poor reading skills and my affection for language, and they simply leaned on me to work harder at reading. Their words, "Richard, you must better apply yourself," are burned into my brain to this day. And also, quite fortunately, I was sick of failing. Failing shamed me. It made me miserable and angry and feel worthless. Today, when people ask me, what is my greatest inspiration? I say, without hesitation, Christina Ford, my extraordinary and wonderful wife, and a terrible fear of failure. There are worse inspirations. So I did what my teachers told me. I applied myself, and what that meant was that I reconciled myself to the fact that everything I did as a reader, as a thinker, as a writer, and just as a human person was going to take me longer than it took other people. And once I did that, quit being at war with myself for being slow and thick-headed and ordinary, things improved. In particular, what started to improve was that at my slow reading pace, I found that the pleasures of language, which had beguiled me before when I wasn't reading very well, were still available to me when I was reading patiently and slowly. Today, at age 74, I read about as slowly as I did when I was 17. But back then as now, reading slowly admits me to language's many splendors. All around what words and sentences mean is how they sound and how they look, and how many syllables they have, and what those syllables carry with them of rhythm and music. All those, so to say, poetical qualities of words are integral to what those words mean to us. And when we can experience it all, cognition, poetry together, the sum of intellectual and visceral pleasure is immense. There's nothing like it that I've ever found, which I suppose explains everything about me. Fortunately or unfortunately, I write the sort of sentences I like to read. Sentences that reward slower pace, sentences that pay attention to rhythms and play and internal rhymes in an effort not just to portray the world, but to affirm it and please us in its dense complexity. Speaking of miracles, however, to be here today is a miracle for Christina and for me. I'm deeply indebted to my publishers in Korea, Pak Kyongni and Munhak Dongni, and to the brave men and women who have embarked on translating my books into the Korean language. Thank you. My country, and on your beautiful peninsula here, there are many frozen seas impeding our spirit's progress and fulfillment. Books and their guiding force, the human imagination, can, we see, cross many seas and many borders and make themselves useful by displaying to us miraculously both how wonderfully distinct we are from one another and how blessedly alike. If there is a great legacy of Pak Kyongni's prophetic writing, it is to celebrate this precious truth, this precious good. To know this, as with all great and good truth, will surely save us. Thank you.